Let us discuss about October 7th, 2015 newspaper. The first is related to the politics of waste management. Now, if you see from 1990 onwards, the amount of waste, solid waste in urban India is increasing, but proportionately the number of municipal workers in urban India are decreasing. Now, it means that the amount of solid waste on the streets is accumulating. And the second thing, previously secured jobs of the municipal workers, they are becoming more and more contractual jobs. The third thing is, occupational hazard is very high with regard to these jobs are concerned. In these circumstances, the discrimination is also a new occupational hazard over here. Most of these jobs, they are filled with people from Adivasi and scheduled caste community. It means caste and occupational discrimination, they form the bedrock of the solid waste management function in India. The occupational hazard, it can be reflected with the 2014 Human Rights Watch report, which says that 90% of the workers involved with solid waste management in India, they die before their retirement. It means early deaths are happening because of this. Now, whenever workers are decreasing and the proportion of the problem is increasing, the solution has to be in management. So, in this, technology can play a role. Does increase in technology is happening in India in this field? So, no technological upgradation. What are the solutions we can have now then? One thing is separation of the solid waste or usable, reusable waste from the non-recyclable waste. And the second thing is, there is a lot of pollution which is coming from the burning of the solid waste in the urban areas. So, we shall be able to develop incinerators for burning, for indoor burning of those particular solid waste. And the third thing is the biodegradable waste. It is filling the water bodies, we can divert them, or we can make the earth as a natural sink for them. Now, in this context, rehabilitation of these people is also important. So, we have to shift them from contractual employment to the self-employment. It brings in respect. And next is use of technology provides for necessary safety conditions of working to these people. Next, stigma can also be addressed through political activism. Recently, I was going through one of the articles about the mayor of Mysore. So, a scavenge worker or a manual scavenger, he himself has gone up to the political ladder and he is able to become the mayor of the Mysore. So, the stigma can also be addressed through political activism. So, the politics of social identity, it reinforces empowerment, especially for the people with regard to the sanitation. In this context, we can bring in the Swachh Bharat and discussion. The major drawback of the Swachh Bharat is it has no element with regard to the raising protection and making the benefits to reach to these sanitation workers who become central to the Swachh Bharat. Now, in this context, if you can remember, in Hyderabad, that is both in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, the contractual sanitation employees took to the streets and went on strike. So, in these circumstances, the permanency of the job was not ensured to them. So, it shows that clearly the governments were insensitive to their needs. This is about this article. Coming to the article Revolutionary Therapies, with regard to the Nobel Prizes this year, two drugs, they have won the Nobel in medicine. One is ivermectin and the other one is the artemisinin derivatives. The ivermectin, an American doctor, William Campbell, and Satoshi Omura from Japan, they have discovered this particular drug. Artemisian drug was discovered by Mitsu Yoyu. So, what is the remarkable thing in this? The ivermectin is used for filariasis, treatment of filariasis, and also river blindness. And if you go to artemisinin, that is used for the treatment of malaria. And malaria has a wider global impact. Now, chloroquine was considered as the wonder drug before the artemisinin, but slowly chloroquine resistant malaria, especially of Plasmodium falciparum, started visible, and it is causing the almost all the deaths related to malaria. Now, in this context, the chloroquine is now replaced by artemisinin to treat with the chloroquine resistant malaria. Now, how this resistance has entered in India, that is through Myanmar. Now, if you see, the artemisinin resistance is also growing in India. It is just within the range of 25 kilometers from our border. Already Myanmar and many of the Southeast Asian countries are facing this. So indiscriminate use of artemisinin, even for the non-drug resistant malarial treatments, that is said to be the major reason for growing resistance. So it has to be fought now. If not, the deaths are bound to increase, because though the deaths of malaria in India are around 40,000, and most of them are from the tribal belts and northeast, 70% of the Indian population is at risk of malaria. If you see, the vector-borne diseases, they are rampant in India. It means malaria is no exception to this. The third, it is related to the neutrino. Now, evolution of the universe always was a tricky matter to the physicists. Now, in this case, Arthur B. MacDonald of Queen's University, Canada, and Kazita of Japan, they are able to throw some important light on the neutrinos. So, what are the advantages of this? One is they are able to understand the evolution of the universe, and they focused on a phenomenon called as neutrino oscillations. And the third thing is, this understanding of the neutrinos, it helps to create a thermonuclear reactor or fusion reactor onto the earth. And also it helps to understand the phenomenon of dark matter in the universe. That is the reason why they were given the Nobel this year. So in this case, try to understand the neutrinos properties. So the neutrinos has mass, but not the charge is their major understanding. And India also is establishing a neutrino observatory in Tamil Nadu. So already I have given the notes with regard to the neutrino observatory in Tamil Nadu, with regard to the Abdul Kalam's article. So I'll try to post it to you. The next article is related to India's targets INDCs. Now if you observe, with regard to the coal and other dirty fuels, India has said in its INDCs that by 2030, it is trying to bring in 33 to 35% reduction in the emission intensity. That is one thing. And it is going to make 40% of the total fuel consumed in India from the non-fossil fuel sources. So this is a responsible behavior from India. Now, India already is imposing carbon tax or cess on the coal, and also raised taxes on other fossil fuel-led energy. India's major challenge is the energy for all. Now you know that energy is directly proportional to the human development. So in these circumstances, India has to generate its energy to make the people to come out of the poverty. So India has declared that it cannot compromise its development and its growth to the climate change and the targets, but it is at the same time is going to behave as a responsible leader with regard to climate change. Now if you see the global scenario, India is just 20% of the coal consumed by United States, and 34%, it is just consuming 34% of per capita consumed in OECD countries. It is still low according to the global standards. And fourth thing is, India is shifting towards the renewable energy sources. But however, the existing energy or else rapid creation of the requirements of the energy need India to depend upon the coal energy sources. Now there is a paradigm which is going on in the universe. The West, it is decreasing on its coal dependency. But however, India's coal dependency is increasing because of the developmental difference. So, in this context, the technology makes a big difference. The West has to transfer the latest technologies related to the clean energy, which can facilitate the development of India and also the needs of the climate change. In these circumstances, the global financial institutions such as World Bank and their behavior has to be understood. They stopped financing for the entities such as the new coal power plants. Now, if observed, it means the demands of the climate change of the developed world is taking the priority of the development of the countries. Thank you very much.